Alright guys, welcome to another hunt. Out with Nathan tonight. He's over there in the dark somewhere. You can't really see him, but enough of him, back to me. I've got a 35 down in the hole. It did say that it was shallow. It lied. As you can see, the hole's quite the depth, but in the bottom of it, just in here, I've got what appears to be a penny. Let's get a look at that. Oh, it's a com. So this side here is quite sandy. There's a little bit of initial clay crust, but it's quite sandy underneath. So these coins come out in really good nick. Because I'm shining the light directly on it, you can't read that, but that's a 1916. Getting a little bit closer. 1916 Commonwealth of Australia penny in pretty good nick. Let's have a look at King George on the back. Yep, there you go. So not in too bad a nick. That's the first a decent find I've had so far. I've picked up a 303 bullet, and I'll show you that in the roundup. But apart from that, it's been pretty quiet. But we'll keep on going. Okay, second good target of the night. I've got a 33 down in the hole. Reasonable hole. I had a bit of pottery come out first, but down in there, and you probably can't see it, there's a coin-like object. I'll just reach in and grab that. Yeah, let's have a look at this. I've got no idea, but it's reasonably thick. I'm just going to put you guys on hold for a second and have a look at this, eh? Okay, so after some determined scraping, I've got an old Brit penny, and it looks like a 1904 on the back, which fits in perfectly. I've cleaned the back off a little bit better, and there you go there. So yeah, 1904 Brit penny, which is pretty good. I think Nathan's got a 1910 Brit half penny, so we're doing okay on the oldies at the moment. Not too bad at all. Alright, so Nathan's just called me over. This is about 2 minutes after my Brit. He's got himself a nice little thrippin' sitting there in the plug. I'm going to pull her up, mate, and see what she is. Oh, she's a bit bent.
1910.
She's an oldie. There you go. That's as old as you can get in the Australian ones. Pity about the bend.
Yeah,
it's been bent.
Around.
It's been bent well before. Look at the how much wears on the king there, and that pie point where he's been bent.
She's thin.
Oh yeah. Hey,
well.
Silver though, first silver of the night.
Yeah.
Well done, mate.
Beautiful.
What did they give you on the E-track?
That gave me a
1011. Okay, so 1240 to 1243 or thereabouts for all you E-track owners. Get a bit of that. Right, okay, so by now, if you've hung out with me for a bit, you know that 38's a nice number. I'll go back a little bit. What you've got here, it looks like fill that's come from elsewhere in the park, because there's grass over here, and then it goes to like a dirt patch. In that dirt patch, there's a hole created by me. And right up the back of that hole you can see the very edge of a coin. So not real deep, hasn't been there real long. Reach in and pop that out. Okay, so we've got a penny, looks like a skippy. It is. It's a I can't really tell you guys. Give me 1 second. Wait. Yeah, 1943 I want to say, a 1943 skippy penny. Just in this soil, it's been moved from elsewhere in the park. Excellent. Okay folks, nice 35. Not a very deep plug at all. Didn't need to be. Because I'm pretty sure you can all see that little silver just poking his head out there. Let's go in and have a look at that, eh? I can already tell you looking at it, it's got King George the 6th on it, so probably a wartime. That's in really nice nick. Let's have a look at the other side. That's a sheaf of wheat. 1941, and I'll just spin that around. Try and get a better look at it. There you go there, 1941. It looks like a Denver mint. underneath the last 4, though it could be an S. It's dark and I'm using a headlamp, so forgive me if I get that wrong. But it's a 1944 threepence. Excellent. Alright, so Nathan's got himself a sixpence out of a somewhat cavernous hole. There you go, you get an indication of the depth. And sort of try and get in on that, but don't like our chances under the nightlight. What date she got, Nate? It's
1942.
1942, so that's the second of the war era to come out of here. I got that 44 before, threepence, and Nathan's just got a 42 sixpence. Excellent. Alright, going well. Alright, so Nathan's just called me over. I was detecting over the way a bit, and he's got himself a silver in the plug. You can just see the very edge of it there. Mate, whenever you're ready. Sixpence.
Another 1942 sixpence.
Oh, look at that.
Beautiful.
Just try and get a little bit of angle. There you go. That's a great neck too, that one.
Yeah. Check to see if there's anything else there.
Just the one?
Just the one.
Damn. Okay, so I've got a 36 in the hole. A lot of the time, if they're closer to the surface, I leave those because they're generally, a lot of the time, can slaw. But when they've got a bit of depth about them, you sort of chase them. Sometimes they can slaw, and sometimes they're not. But just down in the hole here, not really deep. You can see a glistening bit of copper. Haven't had a look at that yet, so let's go in and have a look, eh? Well, I've given it a decent whack. So it's a 1948 Skippy or rue penny, and so it will have King George on the back, King George VI. There you go there, another penny to the collection. Wouldn't mind a few more silvers, but hey, you take whatever you can get. Excellent. Alright, we've got probably another hour and I think we're done, but been a pretty good night so far. Alright, so another 36. Prepare yourself. It is probably the most deformed, beaten up penny I have ever encountered. It has been through the ringer. Hang on a second. Yeah, you can see it was a penny once. And looking at it, it was a Commonwealth of Australia penny. The chances of getting a date off that are pretty much zero. She has had the proverbial. I'll try and dig in there a little bit and see if I can get something out of it. Just give me a second, folks. Yeah, not a hope. I can see the words 1 in the beginning of penny, and everything else is pretty much destroyed. But hey, it's a nice piece of copper, I suppose, at the end of the day. Gave off the right signal, was just, I think it's met its maker. Alright, let's keep going, eh? Okay, I just got that 34. It's fairly deep, and I've got a coin-like object in the spoil. The problem is with it, it is completely and utterly encrusted. Now, I think if you were watching the first part and saw me get that other old Brit penny, this one's about the size of a halfpenny. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put you on hold, because I need to scratch this off. I'm going to go with old Brit. It's really encrusted, but underneath it should have a really nice patina, but it's definitely halfpenny size. Let's put you on hold for a sec and I'll have a bit of a scratch. Alright, so I was wrong. It wasn't an old Brit, but it was still an old one. It's a 1911 Commonwealth of Australia halfpenny. You can see once you get that crust off it, it's got this lovely green patina underneath it, which holds up really well. The crust is just, I don't know, just sand that seems to have become cemented to it. I tend to give it a bit of a scrape with the trowel and then give it a brush, and that's how she comes up. So that's not too bad. They've the last 4 things have been in the space of around about 10 minutes, so we've been going pretty well here. Alright, so just a bit of a wrap up from last night. We're out here in the daylight now, so you can actually see a few things. There were a few things that I dug that I didn't particularly feel like videoing or feel warranted a video at the time. One of them was this. I would say, just looking at it, it looks like the end off a cane. Large enough, substantial enough to fit over the top, and then you've got a nail or a screw hole made of heavy brass. It was down quite deep, but you'd expect to get a good signal of something this size down that deep. I've got what looks to be, I want to go with an old pill case or something like that. You can see the hinge just here and where it's been snapped off something. Again, made of brass or copper, but you can see quite plainly a lid does go on top of that, and it would have been hinged at that position where you can see it's been snapped off. We've also got a old 303, or the remains of it. It actually broke in half when I pulled it out. So this end, for the uneducated when it comes to ordnance, this end's the bullet end. It's the end that comes out the end of the barrel and hits your target. This here is the cartridge case, and you can see it's actually been snapped at the top. If you look inside there, you can see it's of older manufacture. It's actually using the strip cordite, which looks a little bit like spaghetti. So obviously unfired. I've done a little bit of work on the back just to try and get a feel for the age of the round, but it's that heavily corroded, and I didn't want to sand too much further. You can see I've actually started to sand the primer a little bit then. I could only pick up an 11 on the base of the round, which you might be able to see just there, but apart from that I've got no further detail on that. Into the pre-decimals, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4 pennies, and the poor old battered one there that's had a couple of visits to the lawnmower. So we've got a 48 Skippy and a 43 Skippy, and then we move into the older ones. We've got a 1916 Commonwealth of Australia penny, in quite nice nick. Pity the back's a little bit blistered, but the front's quite nice. In the half pennies, we've got a 1911 half. I think you saw me scrape that one off, or after I'd scraped it off. You can see how thick that gunge is that gets on them. But like I said in the field, the patina tends to remain underneath. Really quite pretty. And then we've got another, or the old British that I found, which is a 1904 British penny. And you can see we've got King Edward on that side. Whoops, I'm not even pointing the camera at it. King Edward on that side there. That'll clean up quite nicely. I'll just drop it in some olive oil. I generally only tend to try and preserve the old British ones. The rest of the pennies I just generally chuck in a bucket. I've got that 1944 threepence here. You get a better look at it now, and you can see it is a San Francisco mint mark. For the uninitiated in that regard, if you look underneath the furthest right hand 4, underneath the scroll you'll see a little S. That's for San Francisco. If there was a D there, it'd be for Denver. And that's a really quite pretty coin, sheaf of wheat. It look quite nice in the field, but in the cold hard light of day it looks quite lovely, doesn't it? And the back side, and then you've got King George right there. Alright, moving on. We've got a couple of 1 cent pieces. I don't generally tend to film those, just because it's quite boring. And then we've got the best part about $3 and I want to say about 35 cents. All these 5 cent pieces, I generally don't dig 5 cent pieces, but they were all taped together for some weird reason. Someone had gone along and taped all these 5 cent pieces in like a roll. Which did ring off quite well, but normally I don't dig 5 cent pieces. But that's pretty much it. The standout for me, I think, from last night was the 1904 British. I do like digging silver, but I do like old British coins. Mind you, if I dug an old British silver, and that's the one I'll be holding right now. But that's pretty much a standout for me. You saw all Nathan's stuff in the field. He did get a bunch of pennies and half pennies that he didn't bother filming, but we did get all the silvers. Alright guys, well I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoy the video.